Bye. There you are. Welcome. So welcome to see new faces and familiar faces in the space. So this is a space where we gather in unity to anchor deeper into this ancient eternal now. So find a comfortable spot to begin with. There's no script to this. Let your gaze be soft or close your eyes. Let your body lie down or be upright, sat or moving. Trusting the wisdom in the body to do whatever it needs to for this meditation. And come to your breath. And notice how effortlessly it sustains you. It maintains your life in this existence, in the physical form, without any of your doing. Feel the gravity of your body. Such precious, precious body. The gravity of earth in your bones, in your flesh, earth itself. We tend to think as separate, and yet we're not. In today's meditation, we're opening up the space. This room is guest house to welcome you just as you are. Any parts of you that might feel tired or closed in your heart today, that's okay. It's welcome. Parts that are frightened, parts that feel tense, contracted, they're so welcome. Beginning by allowing yourself to entertain the notion of arriving. Arriving here and now, in this moment, in this inhale. Letting go of your to-do list. Letting go of any thinking what's to come. We get so exhausted pondering about the future and engulfed dwelling on the past often. Right here is a great opening into a vastness that is beyond thought or even knowing. And you allow yourself to breathe into this mystery. And can you welcome all that might appear to be getting in the way? When we're opening in ourselves in such a way, there is a sweetness and also a terror often before we taste the sweetness that can arise. That's okay, as humans we have this existential angst. We long for freedom, and we're also really afraid of it. When we silently keep company, witnessing the movement of these contractions in our own psyche, and breathing through that crack that contraction brings between the polarities, an air of softness, quite often at the brink of that collapse of the polarities in the eternal here and now. I call this a crack, and we can sometimes feel it in our heart. It's like a sweet free fall. Free fall into the surrendering into the mystery of life, into the mystery of this moment. And our minds can be very quick at making shapes and images and plans about what this mystery looks like. Notice that and bring back your attention. Simply let that observation fall back into its origin. We can all move in life thinking that we are only transcendence, excluding the immanent nature of us. Or we can all move on with life thinking that we're only immanent, forgetting our essence at our core. And yet we do forget. And the forgetting is an innocent forgetting that has to happen until we remember what we are. So often we're bound by our wounding or psychological contractions that hold us back because we're afraid. We're afraid to keep opening our hearts to the unknown. We're afraid of being hurt, betrayed, disappointed, engulfed. And we're hurting because the pain of our wounding has felt really real. And it has been real. It takes immense courage and willingness to keep free falling in that open heart space. Quite often, the way to do that is to keep returning to your heart's most longing and innermost precious questions that you haven't dared to ask. Perhaps we haven't dared to ask, perhaps. What would that question be? And it might be different for each one of us. It might be, who am I? How do I want to walk in this life? What do I want my walking prayer to be? What are my gifts for this world? And then drop the question, letting life lead, letting life shape us through those little cracks and liminal places. For that, it's important we slow down. How often do you give yourself permission to truly slow down? And lean in. Leaning in the crack, the contraction, in the cracks of grief. There's so deep collective grief at the moment. And life is inviting us to keep that courage and faith alive and keep returning back to what we already know. It takes sincerity and honesty. We cannot be anywhere else other than where we are. And that is so simple and yet so radically perplexing for the mind, confusing. We resist the moment. And often the danger is that we create more inner contractions at the face of our contractions. Well, the invitation here is to love everything as it arises. Love the resistance. Meet the resistance. And watch it dissolve like a moth to the fire. Meet judgment. Meet grief. Meet the rage, regret. Welcome it all in. Everything is so welcome. How often do we truly meet ourselves like this? So deserve this love. This love is here to bathe in and bask. It's infinite. It's so unconditional. And we are that. We truly are that love that we've longed. Our time is now. Which of course goes beyond time. Because now it's timeless. It doesn't have a start or an end. It just is. Waiting for the immanent human in us, patiently, to bask and rest and surrender in this trusting knowing of nowness. It doesn't require us to do anything extra or special. It's however the moment unfolds. That's it. If that's a galloping leap of faith, beautiful. If it's the tiniest inch that the slag drags its little body and it feels that huge or that small, it still is what it is. It holds no judgment. That dimension in us, which is not in us, it's in us and outside of us. But that dimension is real and alive and rich and full of impregnated creativity, waiting for us to taste it. Waiting for us to let go of all control or notions of how to access it, even how to be in this place. Simply surrendering to it, moment to moment. Beautiful. That's all. We know this place really well because when we touch it, our hearts sing an enchanted hallelujah because we recognize this place. It reveals itself to us in our little moments, in our daily lives. And we'll talk a little bit in a minute ways that can reveal, perhaps. And for that, we have to crack our hearts open. There's no other way. Our hearts must burst open. And align and train in the universal heart the melodies and the rhythms of that heart space, free of all attachment and desires and wants, simply unfolding. And this is all speculation, of course, but also arising from my direct experience. And we don't know why some people can access these places and some others no, but to me it's all grace. Whether we are or we're not, it's all grace. So talking on these liminal spaces, and especially I'm particularly passionate about accessing that in the middle, right in the center of the most acute, painful state of the human. That is the sweetest surrender. We can access these places very quickly when we're looking at the vastness of the sky and we're reminded of who we are. Of the movements of the sea and the waves. And we recognize that everything passes. That each one of us is a wave in a vaster ocean. This dimension that is so alive and is changeless. Can we keep trusting that? Can we keep falling back in the knowing, in our bodies, that we're held at all times? So deeply held. I had this beautiful experience, one of the many. This week, I was experiencing really acute grief about what's happening in Gaza and the children and the war and the state of forgetting of our humanity. In some parts of the world, I'm also aware there's a lot of great parts in the world where we're remembering who we are. And my heart is burst open. I just cry anywhere and everywhere. I can't help it anymore. There's no control, there's no managing, there's nobody here anymore to will. Grace has its own language through me. And I was pushing the pram and I felt the tears rise. And I stayed with it. And I passed by a beautiful flower. I don't know the type of the flower. It became so clear. The center of the flower was like the eye. So I felt my heart crack and open and lean in even deeper. I was on the road, pushing a pram, people passing by. My mind momentarily went, what will people think? And so the flower allowed my attention to gravitate back into that liminal space. And I heard, and I wanted to take the flower away. The desire arose in the human, the greed, the attachment, to take it with me. And then I heard, which I forgot now, the vision is in the eye of the beholder. And I passed, and I let go. And later that day, my little boy came home, who was at the park with his dad, and he's holding a flower. He's holding that flower. He's handing it over to me and says, Mommy, that's a flower for you. When we choose to surrender, miracles happen, synchronicities happen. Life keeps reassuring, validating back to us that we are held. Even in our darkest moments, our most skeptical and doubtful moments. Our duty is to keep trusting, even with a broken heart, especially with a broken heart. Trust is not there, and fear pops its pesky head. Can we love that too, and trust our not trusting? We cannot get this wrong. We cannot get this life wrong. Just gonna check what else. We jotted some things before we came. Yeah, we seek the knowledge and on the spiritual path we might follow teachers. And yet life has shown me that life has always been the greatest teacher and always is our greatest teacher. And we're getting used to attune our eyesight and our senses, our touch, our smell, to tune into the wisdom of life and be prepared to be surprised and amazed and have fresh eyes for each moment. Releasing our worry, releasing our grip to know and understand. Yeah. I want to hear a little bit from you now. I'm going to stop the recording. As you're slowly returning back to where you never left. Notice how you feel in your heart and in your body. How is your mind? Truthfully, how you are. This is not about appearances, but the truth of our being in the moment. For those of you who haven't been here, thank you for listening.